Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we got another full, well, depending on how much, but we got some PvP action that's going on here actually today in S6, where there is quite a bit of some on-field fighting that I'm pretty excited to show you guys, and we're going to be covering this as much as we can. There's actually a couple alliances that are involved in this one here on S6. So from what I'm understanding, and again, I've been told this by a few people here, so I do appreciate, is we have GOD, we have DGOD, which I believe totals at about to, and we'll confirm this as well in the alliance rankings, to around 1 billion power. And then we have FANG, HOW, EXOW, and OR potentially. And that's kind of how we have it. They're around 1.5 bill, and we'll show you guys that on the alliance rankings here in a moment. As always, right, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. Of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. So we're going to zoom out here in a sec, right? But FANG has, a decent amount of players here. This is one of the things that we often talk about, right? Where you don't necessarily want to fight from a choke point, just because of the fact that the units will actually just like layer on top of each other. So, essentially what'll end up happening is that you'll have a unit here, or a unit here, and a unit here and here, and they'll just stack on top. So any damage that's going out and AoE damage that's hitting, it's basically like going on top and just raining down, right? Is a way to kind of visualize it, because it'll hit everyone. So usually you either want to back up or you want to push all the way out, so that way you put yourself in a little bit more favorable position. And this is one of the things we often talk about as well, right, is that anytime you're going to be fighting with your alliance, you really want to make a due diligence effort to try and get as many players as possible into voice, right? You want to get them into a voice call. You want to get them into, a voice channel, even if it's not like a DM or something like that, but, creating voice channels on your Discord, and then trying to get as many people on there as possible. Would be cool if they added in like an in-game voice, and then you could just join that with your alliance, right? For anyone that's online, kind of opt in, opt out. That would be really cool as well. But this is actually not a bad situation here for FANG. They should really be coordinating this a little more efficiently, in my opinion, having more people push out together in a coordinated effort, so that way they could go ahead and take advantage of the God players. Now, I don't think there's any DGOD, and God looks like they're probably backing up right now, which actually isn't that. I mean, again, when you think about how many players they had there in the beginning, now kind of getting a little counter pushed here, remembering that, right, they're still having to run a farther distance than FANG is, right? So the FANG players obviously have a little bit faster of a refresh or replenish rate, because they're fighting closer to where their cities are and their pass. So, but if we zoom out, I can kind of show you and give you a little bit bigger of a picture here, right? So this is kind of the lay of the land here for S6, right? So from what I understand, is that you have right here, right, we have DGOD, and we have God here in blue, right, on the southeastern, pushing from Agoru Zone 2 into Zone 3, right, which is Atherin. And then you have OR, we have FANG here on the northeastern Zone 3 passes, or level 3 passes. Then if we go west, right, to the northwest passes, we then have EXOW, and then we have HOW, right? Now they're pushing out, and if we look at them, let's see if they're consistently building. It'll be interesting to see here if they are. Okay, wow, so they actually have a decent amount of people online, if you look at that, right? So this flag has about, 55 minutes. That rate's not that bad. Are they pushing out this way as well and like double building? Oh, they are. Wow, they actually have a lot. Or a few more up here, so about 40 minutes on that flag. So it looks like they're kind of pushing in both directions. If we go up here, I'm assuming they're probably going to be pushing southeast. And yeah, then we have EXOW. They got 50 minutes on their flag. It looks like they're probably just focusing on building one flag. Yeah, it looks like. So, cool. And then here, we got FANG up top, which, yeah, wow, this is super interesting. Let's see, what are they doing? Oh, wow. Oh, they're chasing this guy? Do it. Is that infantry on infantry? I can't. Maybe it's, oh no, it is Cav. Man, that guy was booking. And then we got FANG Lumil here, a little solo pick. And let's see what they have going on. Are they building westward here? Doesn't look like it. Oh no, maybe they're, maybe they are, and this one just finished. Okay, it could be. Maybe that flag just finished. And let's see, are they trying to build south? I don't see any flags that are going here. So nothing that's really happening. And then we look at OR. Let's see what OR is doing. So OR has some players out. Let's see. Oh wow, okay, cool. So they actually just looks like they probably just placed their new flag. About an hour and a half on that one. And it doesn't look like there's any... Ooh, wow, hang on. What do we got going on here? Let's see. So OR is pushed out a little bit. You got some God players here. A little replenish. And this is the thing, right? You know, God can technically push out... ooh, I like this choke point here. This is one of the choke points we saw often being fought on in S2. Right, for those of you that remember kind of the TA, the EMP, and, oh gosh, why am I forgetting? The OWO, DWD, I'm trying to remember a bunch of names here, right? And they often fought along this pass. And it obviously keeps weren't available at that point, but this could have been something there, even fighting from the ridge position. It's nice if you want to hold down choke points, especially if you have a lot of players online and you have good AoE skills. You could really take advantage of the terrain that way in a very tactical position. And so, you know, often what we talk about is if you're going to retreat to a certain staging area and regather, right? And then you can always re-engage from that point, right, once you do. An example here, right, is you have this player FANG Rev. I probably wouldn't have gone so deep, at least until you have a few more players that are nearby, or a few more allies, right? So that way you're just not taking unnecessary damage, right? You want to look at how you attack in a way where you're trying to always have even numbers or advantages that you're creating for yourself, right? So in this situation, you had FANG, some of these OR players that push down, and there just maybe seemed to be 1, 2, maybe 3 more God players here. They could have done a quick counter push, killed a few units, and then started backtracking. Obviously, you have a few more reinforcements coming in right now from OR. Looks like about 6 to 7 players coming from the northeast. And again, this is right in this situation where the God players, unless you know you're stronger than these players, right, or you're maybe to outmaneuver them, the best position here is really just to keep retreating, right? Especially if you know, and then here's the next staging area, right, where Negan is and Doggo, right, you reposition here, and then you go ahead and you re-engage. Okay, let's see, though. So it looks like they're kind of here at this choke, which is unfortunate because you have to basically fight through the choke, right? There's no way to kind of get around. You can see here, there's no bridges, right? So if we go along the whole thing, you're going to see here, you have to go all the way through this like a long choke point, and you have to go around this ridge here, right? Which we should call like the horn or the harp rock. Start just naming stuff. But let's see here. I wonder if DGOD is assisting at all in any way. I mean, obviously they're focused on building, and they just got done building something. Maybe they're just not online right now. I mean, obviously they are. So they're building, I guess, southwestward here. So they have some players online. I just wonder why there's not... Again, maybe there's just low activity for them. I don't know if we're going to be seeing... But here, let's go back to this choke and see what's happening here. Because you have what seems to be... Ooh, I like this, man. So we got quite a few God players here that are just chilling. So we might actually see some more fighting happening, just depending what happens here if they decide to re-engage. You also have... So see, in this situation, right, that's what I'm talking about, where... Right, you have some of the God players holding this point down. I would just keep reinforcing this point at this time, and then you just have to scroll like I am, right? Just look at what does the reinforcement rate look like that's happening, and then you just have someone make those calls, right? This is why it's important to even sometimes have an on-field general, someone who, regardless if they're fighting or not, they can make calls for what's happening for the members, and can, you know, really efficiently and effectively look. Shadow Game's coming out there, multiple damage. Ooh, I like that skill shot there from Nico. Ground pound. Looks like some sacred shields being ran. Nice. Garwood's heal skill being procced there. Probably for the garrison, or not the garrison, but the unit kill. Okay, yeah, but now, again, no more... Right, so in this situation, right, this is why, like, these players, super easy to pick off if they're not paying attention. This is why if you're going to be online, you have to be paying attention to what's going on. It doesn't seem like there's too much coordination happening right now from God, but to be honest, even from the other side as well, it doesn't seem as though there's any kind of, hey, we're moving in unison, we're coordinating. Again, this is when you start really getting to that type of next level of how you're going about strategizing and just organizing your efforts all together. It doesn't mean that, you know, going in this way is the worst thing ever. I just personally don't favor it because I think there are just better ways to go about approaching. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, let's see if we got some DMs that are being sent. What do we got going on, man? I gotta ask people, you know, what's the dealio? About the real God or God, of course he's always watching. What if we talk about God? You're literally... I have no idea what's happening here. Yeah. Anyone want to provide me a breakdown of why the fight is happening, or just wanted to try and have even numbers? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Nice. Let's do this. Yeah. What's this? Everyone's like, who knows? All right, let's see. Yeah, man. And again, this is why this area here on the map is so interesting, right? This 754 550 position here, right? At this like long choke in Zone 3. It's so reminiscent of some of the Zone 2 or some of the S2 for Kingdom 2 or Kingdom 2 videos that we covered. Yeah, so again, right, I mean, look at the amount of God players that are still here, right, kind of not moving, albeit one there. And you have a few more, I think, that were lined up here, like these players. Why aren't they pushing out and going to reinforce, right? Remember, that's one of the things you always have the opportunity to do. Now, you don't want to just run your units in one by one and, you know, just kind of die. But you do want to look at, you know, if you have to push back, you push back to kind of your new forward base, right, your new staging area, and then you gather. And then if the numbers look good, you re-engage. If they don't, you back up more. So it's like, you know, you basically you have all these players that are coming and reinforcing, and then you're right here, and if you feel like the numbers aren't good, then you back up here. Meanwhile, you're still having more and more players reinforce, and then, okay, well, maybe we have enough numbers now. It looks good. Let's re-engage. And you always have the opportunity to do that, right? Especially if you have good activity online and you're getting constant reinforcements. You have that opportunity to kind of shift the tides. So... just wanted to point that out. But again, man, this is pretty cool. I'm actually hoping we're going to get some good PvP out of S6. Even, you know, just because the numbers do look a little more, I guess, close to even. You know, and we have to look at some of the... let's look at what some of the top players are here. So, it's actually interesting, right? So, the number one player here, God Burning, right? A nice gap between 1 and 3. Right, because we have to remember it's God, and then G-God versus... or DGOD, I think it is, right, versus the other 4 alliances, right? So FANG Rav is, you know, kind of the top player for the other side. Wow, this is interesting. So 6 out of the top 7 players are a part of one union. And this is a pretty big spread, right, when you think about this. I mean, obviously, Ward Da here from HOW can, I'm sure, compete with, you know, maybe up to the number 5 player, give or take. But then it's really Rev who's competing with, you know, kind of 1v3 in a sense, right, when you just think about on field. Obviously, I'm sure Rev can, you know, do as much as the OUO, and then Maddie, you know, can probably go toe-to-toe. Burning probably has an advantage, though, so whenever he's on the fight, right, that's probably the crux right there when it comes to Rev. And then, wow, so there's even more here. So I think there's only 2. Wow, so that means 9 out of the top 11 players are on one side of the opposition. Wow, and if I go farther, oh, buddy. Wow, that's intense. Oh, wow. So 18, right, let's do this further. 18 out of the top 21 players are on one side, right? And then that means you have 3 out of the top 21 that are on the other ally or union side. That is super interesting, right? And the top DGOD player, if this is right, number 27 here at Centinela, 5.7 mil, right? That's from the southern side that we saw on the farthest southeastern level 3 pass that was taken, and God obviously took the 1 second from the bottom there. So really interesting. Okay, let's look at some power now. So we got God at 764, and then DGOD at 217. So yeah, pretty much about a bill. And then, wow, and this is pretty intense, right? When you think about there's, what, almost a 300 mil gap from 1 to 2, and closing in on, what, a 390, 385 gap between 1 and 3. So, that is something to take note of. Yeah, interesting. So you have, how does this work here? Oh, I see. So yeah, this makes sense. Like the top 6 alliances are probably the most. I mean, really, and it obviously depends how much DGOD is going to factor in. Otherwise, this could turn into a 1v4, right? If just depending on how much PvP DGOD will engage in, right? So you basically have 2 through 5, and then it's 1 and 6 who are together. So that's cool. Let's see how much merit has been going on. So burning. Oh, so Rev's been putting in some work. God, someone from T-God's been fighting. Fang Creed. Okay, man, no, some nice PvP. Let's look at how the alliance merits. And again, I'm sure it just started, so it's probably not going to be super high. But yeah, see DGOD here. But again, it just started, right? We're going to have to wait a couple days to see how it all plays out. But, I mean, this is pretty good, though, man. When you think about the PvP engagement from these alliances, and obviously we'll have to see, because, you know, I'm sure, you know, Zone 3 hasn't necessarily been open too long, where it is, you know, I don't want to say a nuisance, but essentially where it's become something really impactful, I should say, in that way. Okay. Bam. So that's pretty cool looking at some of the numbers. Let's see if anyone else typed to me and see if, or if they, you know, posted some stuff to my question. Let's see here. What do I got? Oh man, wow, there's a lot of. Oh, here we go. I see people spend their money on whatever they wanted to. Probably they don't have. Trash talking about. You can ask alliance leaders to have more accurate answer why this is happening. Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, man. I'm all for fair fights, right? Like that is the one thing I will say I'm a big fan of, right? Is when you're looking to try and have fair matchups. However, sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes people, you know, sometimes you get into kingdoms and alliances or players feel oppressed because they're just not allowed to get certain structures, or you have one alliance that's trying to take everything, and that can cause civil wars and those types of situations, right? In my opinion, I always think it's a lot better when just the numbers are even, everyone goes in with a good understanding of, yeah, dude, we just want to have great sustainable PvP, so we're going to always have the fairest matchups because that's going to increase the level of morale and player engagement and interaction in a more positive way and environment than kind of in the forced PvP situations, right? All right, dude. Wow, but this is great. So getting some more stuff going on here. Look, we got God burning there, right? #1 player in the kingdom. That's going on. I don't know if I see Fang Rev anywhere, and then OUO. I don't know if I see them unless I'm just blind, right? But again, burning. Okay, nice. What is that? Is that Emrys Bakshi? Could be. We'll have to see what the secondary is. It does look like it. And even in those situations, not necessarily a big deal, right? Running any primary. I mean, they basically kind of run same for talent, so it's not that big of a difference, right? Just with the exception that Bakshi has peacekeeping. Okay. At least I think that's right. It is. Okay, good. my memory's good. Haven't lost it yet. So some of the God players, right, there we go. And then you got some of the others. There we go. So we got, what, Fang, OR. I mean, again, this is nice participation. I really like how OR joined in, right? We're mainly seeing quite a bit of Fang players. Some decent replenishment, or maybe not. I actually thought we'd be seeing a little bit more, but maybe we'll have to wait. I'm actually really surprised at how crisp the video is. I was playing with some more of my settings, and I think I finally kind of figured out, right, where the video looks really crisp, and I'm not overburdening my LD player, which is great. So, but this is what I'm talking about, right? So now you kind of have the one side, and then you have a side here, right? Just replenish. Don't have to go in yet. Hang out right here around this tree. Wait for more of these players to come in, and then when you have the rest of these legions come up, then you engage, right? That to me is a better way of doing it. Like this, where Rhodey's just kind of going solo YOLO, I just wouldn't do this, right? Why do I say this? I mean, sure, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, that wasn't bad. He was able to deal some damage there. But what's even better is if you do that once you have a big force that engages, then you can have your Cav go in there and basically hit their nice AoE artifact skills, any CC artifacts that they have as well. And then you're doing more disruption because the attention is not necessarily on you right away. The attention is on the others who are fighting, and that's how you get in and flank, and you can be a lot more effective in that. And you can even output more DPS as well on your opponents. Again, this is why it's really important. And, you know, I'll be excited when we finally are able to see, you know, that type. And I'm sure, again, it's going to eventually get there, right? We're eventually going to see, you know, voice chats with 50, 60, 70, 90, 99 players that are in there. We might even see stage channels being used, right? If you end up having 100+ people that are online from multiple alliances that are coordinating together, right? Those are things that, man, I would love to see, man. I would love for people to be like, yo, here's a screenshot, or hey, come join our Discord, boss. You can see how many people we have in voice chat while this war is going on. You know, that would be even cool for me, right, to take a look at. All right. So now we have a little bit of a backup here from them. Nice little push here, about 10 players. Still getting some decent reinforcements. Come on, Dragon Queen, you got to move that booty. Let's see here. Chefon, DNG are coming up the rear. Again, I mean, look at this. You got a lot of players right here, man. This to me, now, I'm just going to say, this to me is no bueno. Now, if you're going to, the reason I say, because you don't just want to be standing around, you're not being productive, right? Either go back and help build the flag, build a keep, build a barricade, but do something, right? Just standing around, in my opinion, and again, I don't know any of those players, right? So I'm speaking generally and broadly, is that, you're right, you don't want to have wasted movement in that regard. Now, I will say, obviously, there's the 1% chance that, you know, the outlier, which is, okay, hey, maybe the internet went off, maybe the phone died and they had to go recharge it. I'm sure those types of situations will happen. However, if you prepare yourself ahead of time and your alliance has a game plan on how to utilize you so you're not just standing around, right, then reinforce. Right? Those are really important things. And you can see them, right? They're getting pushed right now by GOD coming up the rear. However, what I will say is look for those opportunities. Right, this is where I would start looking around if you're pushing them back, and I would have someone scouring. Look at this guy, bam, free kill, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Have someone scouting around like this, right? This is where you can really have an on-field general that can take advantage of these types of situations, right? So if you're pushing people on this end, then look at where the outliers are, right? And, you know, I think that's something that's important. You know, especially if you're looking to try and just pick up some stragglers that are just hanging out. Is there anyone gathering out here when they shouldn't be? Right? This person over there. Maybe that guy who's running. You know, just, you know, look. But this is the thing, right? Have a staging area. Don't overcommit, because if you overcommit, then they'll have an opportunity to replenish, right? If you look, and then you want to be looking at the gate. You want to look at their flags, right? How many people are protecting, how many aren't, right? They're probably going to try and reconverge here. I don't know if I would necessarily YOLO this yet. I would maybe just hang out around here, wait for, you know, those 10 or so other legions to catch up, and then engage at that point. Because if you send all these units in now, which most likely they'll probably do, and you end up getting crushed, then that makes what could have been a full push or a better engagement a lesser engagement, right? And now that reduces it. It's like this person, right? Demon Hisoka, I wouldn't have gone in there. I wouldn't even have that second legion in there. Mandalorian, I wouldn't have gotten in there. Flame, I wouldn't be going in there, right? I'd be staging myself just outside of reach, letting all the other legions catch up, and then going ahead and doing a push, right? This is how we do things just in a more strategic fashion, right? And look, one unit already died. Now Flame is probably going to die. And you can see they're counter pushing a little bit here. Why? Because they probably visually are just going off of having a numbers advantage, right? And then bam, look, another unit just died. Flame is probably going to die here in a sec. And now you're getting a small pushback where you're just losing unnecessary legions here for no reason. I do like the flank situation here, though, from Pharaoh. However, the moment that you're caught out, I probably would stop. I mean, again, right? Unless Pharaoh's just going to go for this simple kill here on like the Lilia, then okay, maybe could even hit. I mean, I will say this, right? I like the positioning here from Pharaoh on flanking from the side. However, right, this is the thing I will say, is that don't overcommit, right? In that situation where he got the Lilia kill, maybe get the Lilia kill and then go do something else. I mean, it is kind of working out for him now, but my point is look for those one-offs, right? Look for the people who aren't targeting you, and look for just like a standout Legion, like just one by themselves. So you do have a few more people that have caught up here now from God, and it looks like they're pushing a little bit more. If they can maybe kill some of these PvP units and focus on them first, then they can get some of the free kills there on the builders, right? That's always a better approach to go with because the builders aren't attacking you. And look, they still have a few units, right? Look at this. You got 4 units coming up the rear, 5, 6, right? Wait for those ones. I mean, these ones will probably take a little bit longer, 7 and 8, but you can at least wait for these 5 or 6 units that are really close. And that's why it's good to have good on-field or map awareness of what's happening, right? Whether you have one person who's kind of leading the charge for the group, is that on-field commander, that on-field general who can make those calls, or if you're just having kind of a support role, kind of an on-field support role where you're having someone who's kind of, you know, doing the big theater of war, right? Kind of looking top down as an overview and then making those calls, you know, based on what they're seeing. That can help. Or even if you're just a second person, right, who's assisting, kind of providing information on, hey, you have 5 or 6 units that are coming up the rear. No one is engaging from the pass right now. Having someone like that, right, who can kind of look beyond the field of battle or the instances. Oh, God pushed everyone off of the flag, which was nice. And now it looks like they're just doing a little bit more cleanup here. And remember, right, this is just 2 alliances. They may not even be their peak time when it comes to FANG and OR, right? They still have the other 2 alliances as well, and that are, you know, and again, they could send units down, right? They could have units build and then send PvP units for the long walk. That could be something to do as well. But it just depends on how coordinated the other alliances are, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, them pushing right now is going to be the end-all be-all, right? They still got, obviously still has a long way to go. And who knows how long they're just going to be hanging out here in this situation out that far, while the other alliances are still building to get closer here to FANG in this situation. But yeah, like this, you know, with Mr. Santa, you know, don't hang out there, Mr. Ripper, or Pip Santa, you know, I'd back up a little bit, right? Same thing with OR FANG in this situation, right? Just recreate another staging area is the big thing you want to do. I wouldn't even run all the way back, right? I'd run till about here, wait to see what's happening, and then if they're going to keep pushing you, then you keep backing up. And then if you need to absolutely go back through the gate, right, then do that. And then you just coordinate with the other alliances and just time out a push. You know, bam. Yeah, it'd be sweetness. All right. Listen, we're almost at 30 minutes now, and so I think we're looking pretty good as far as covering a lot of PvP action that we were able to get in. So this was really cool, man. I can't wait to see some more PvP coming out of S6. And as always, right, I'm going to try and cover as much PvP from as many kingdoms as we possibly can. This is awesome to me. And remember, as always, if you want to notify me of any PvP that's going to be happening in your kingdom, just remember that you have to have the Augur Stone of Lightbearer that has been reached, right? Because this is where I get one, right? We can look at level 3 passes, but the most important one is the mist is dispelled, right? Right when this chapter finishes, then that makes it easy for me to come in and I can take a look at what's actually happening in your kingdom. And you can notify me on my Discord. We have a specific kind of wars drama channel, so that way you come in, you just react to the Call of Dragons role, and then you can go to that channel and you can notify me, right, of any war, any details that are going to be happening there. And I would love to come and cover your kingdom. Again, I'll be trying to give you guys as much PvP and action coverage from as many of the kingdoms as we possibly can. As always, I hope you enjoy the content. That is it for me. Until next time, I will catch you later.